What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. I'm going to do a very quick video tonight because it's very simple where this is going. It's very simple what is taking place right now. And I mean, we've got the World Economic Forum essentially today putting out this Navigating Cryptocurrency Regulation document, an industry perspective on the insights and tools needed to shape balanced crypto regulation. This is a community paper, September 2021. If you haven't been in the loop, if you are just new to this space, you may not realize the World Economic Forum is an absolute monster, one of the largest non-governmental organizations in the entire world. Some of the heaviest hitters in the entire world sit on seats at the WEF, and the majority, if not all, of the countries that we are all talking about for digital assets interoperating with and being utilized in certainly have their say as far as the body of the World Economic Forum is concerned. So with everything that's going on in the United States right now, it's just very interesting. The World Economic Forum puts this paper out. I mean, it's going over the whole spiel here. The basics of crypto, regulatory considerations, regulatory opportunities for inclusion and innovation, which we've talked about multiple times on this channel, that the rhetoric that gets thrown around quite a bit, and it certainly is true to an extent, is that digital assets, blockchain, and distributed ledger technology certainly offer that inclusion and innovation aspect based on the technology and global regulatory approaches. Now, conclusion, contributors, I was doing some research today and I stumbled across this, and it just still amazes me that regardless of what's going on in the United States, and this is probably a very interesting document for some of you guys to walk through here. It talks about the UK, Singapore, Switzerland, Japan, the UAE, China, India, etc., etc. Now, I like looking at conclusion and I like looking at the contributors, but we're just going to focus on the contributors because I'm going to keep this very short and sweet tonight. The Global Future Council on Cryptocurrencies would like to extend its sincere thanks to the regulators, policymakers, and central bankers who contributed their insights and perspectives to this guidance document. The feedback received from these authorities spanning multiple continents was instrumental to developing a guide that could speak to regulators in countries that are in the preliminary stages of understanding and decision-making, as well as those much more advanced in the process. So we do know that there are some that are much more advanced in the process. We know that Singapore, China, we know that Japan, there's, Bermuda with their CBDC and et cetera, written from an industry's perspective. With objective feedback from decision makers, it serves as a practical resource for formulating regulatory approaches to cryptocurrency. So the World Economic Forum is saying that this document can potentially serve as a resource for regulation. And we still, today, regardless of all the nonsense and the show that we were being put through with Ripple being sued by the SEC, it's a joke in my opinion, and it's a complete smokescreen in my opinion as well. I am not going to sit here and say I know how this court hearing turns out because I certainly don't. I wouldn't be surprised if the worst case scenario came out of this, and then later on down the road, just for one further shakeout, they do say that XRP is not a security. But I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate on that. I'm just not going to be surprised by whatever the powers that be try to do to shake us out of what we know is going to happen. Subject leads, and what's very interesting is the powerhouses that are in these for these contributors of this article. Right off the bat, under subject leads, we can see the chief executive officer, the CEO of Stellar. Okay, now we can see the regulatory head of Latin America for Stripe, senior technologist of Mercy Corp, and Mercy Corp, if you're not aware, has talked very much so about Hedera Hashgraph in the past. Gabriel Abed, who is the ambassador to Barbados in the UAE. Co-authors, we can see down here Brad Garlinghouse, CEO Ripple. We can see Ripio also, which you may not be aware. Ripio is like nearly at its all-time low right now. Like it's like a $14 million market cap. That's not financial advice. Deutsche Bank, global head of securities in the UK. You get the picture, right? Gigantic individuals. The VP and the GM of blockchain, crypto, and digital currencies at PayPal. I mean, these are the type of people we're talking about here. And we're expected to believe that from a global stance that Ripple has worked with every legacy financial institution, which we're going to see a very small snippet of that in this. The majority of these reviewers here that are reviewing this document are literally RippleNet partners, okay? We know how many times the World Economic Forum has talked about XRP, even for their central bank digital currency policy toolkit, which I'll show you here in a second. ING, I'm under the opinion that ING may be utilizing RippleNet to an extent as well. Deutsche Bank, we certainly know Deutsche Bank has ties with RippleNet because Deutsche Bank was the one that literally said that HSBC and I believe Western Union was also a client of Ripple. So I'm not going to be participating in the bullshit with what they're trying to tell us here in the United States, because progress is moving forward. It's literally a mechanism to stall people out or to intimidate or scare them from participating in a financial revolution that is just certainly coming. It's inevitable. Now, that's not financial advice for XRP. I'm just giving you my opinion. World Economic Forum Central Bank Currency Policy Maker Toolkit. Obviously, this is the document that we've all seen before, most relevant for wholesale central bank digital currencies. Existing and legacy infrastructure innovations include Swift GPI. Now, crypto assets or JPM coin and XRP explicitly mentioned there. Now, what's interesting, we saw ING in there too. ING is obviously a pretty large banking organization, but I did a Coil post like back in 2019. Blockchain software, IntelliChain, launched, which has been enabled with the Ripple. First transaction executed between CIBC and NAP, which I go into a little bit more in depth here. Interestingly enough, ING also mentions in 2019 that the bank's new application, which is called IntelliChain, is currently under development. Now, looking further into this, I don't know if this is RippleNet or not with ING, but I do believe that Ripple has certainly worked with ING. Now, this app deals in supply chain management, but IGBT, which is Intellect Design Arena, or Intellect Global Transaction Banking is what IGTB stands for, certainly had IntelliChain powered by Ripple, which we just saw. It's the newest, fastest, cheapest way to make international payments. You can kind of see the ranking based on cost, based on speed, from this, and this is all the way back in 2019. So for me to believe that these legacy organizations and banking institutions don't understand the utility of something like RippleNet. Now, I'm not saying XRP, but the utility of something like RippleNet inherently is just a complete joke. So they certainly do. We know that a large majority of banks that are also integrated with Swift are in tandem integrated with RippleNet. Now, where this all leads to, though, in my opinion, is it's just literally one more domino to get to XRP for liquidity mechanisms. And it's the natural progression of where things go. I'm not saying XRP is the end-all, be-all, but XRP was designed, in my opinion, for a specific use case. That use case is essentially the use case of a liquidity mechanism that pretty much eliminates legacy incompetences based on front-end and back-end necessities of the legacy transaction banking system. And that's kind of where I see it playing the role. I think that Ripple certainly gets through the door, but I think when all is said and done for XRP holders, not based on what Ripple was doing, Ripple was literally trying to build out ecosystems, just like Flare is building out ecosystems, just like we see every other organization surrounding themselves with XRP, building out ecosystems to develop to develop that infrastructure necessary and create that level playing field so that XRP will flourish. This is Raluca Voynia launching IntelliChain at ING, still part of this process. We can see IGTB, which is Intellect Global Transaction Banking, partnering with SDocs. We can see SDocs Solution Partners. Now, if you're not aware who SDocs is a leading paperless global trade management company to widen access. This is why they partnered. The leading paperless global trade management company is SDocs, okay? Banks deploying IGTP TB trade finance, now in combination with the technology powerhouse of SDocs, use nearly 60,000 companies in over 200 countries. So we're talking massive scale. SDocs partners also have quite a few numbers of RippleNet partners. We can see IGTP, which directly developed on top of RippleNet for IntelliChain. Temenos, which is T24 Transact, which Matthew Liny, again, Monster, talking about Temenos partnering with SDocs for trade finance digitization. We know Temenos T24 does integrate with RippleNet. That was facilitated through Deloitte and Bluzelle as well, the Bluzelle gateway to integrate with RippleNet. This was literally 2.5 years ago as well. I'm just giving you some scope at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen. But CGI as well is another monster. We know that CGI, they have an intelligent gateway to trade. This currently integrates payment systems to Ripple Connect. Now, this is probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This is 2016, all the way back in 2016. Intelligent Gateway integrates payment systems to Ripple Connect. Soon, to provide a new level of interoperability between legacy trade platforms and distributed ledger trade solutions. So, I'm not going to sit here and buy into the bullshit at this point in time. I know what's already probably built. It's almost a waiting game for me with XRP. And I've made a decision personally with XRP that I'm probably going to get I could get my initial investment back right now. I may cash out maybe 20 or 30% of my XRP if XRP were to go to something like $7 to $10, $8 to $10. That's even kind of an extended view for me personally, because I think that XRP, and this is not financial advice, I think that XRP certainly has much larger implications based on what we've seen. And I think as the sooner that individuals sell out, the easier it is for them to justify kind of turning that switch on. I'm not saying there's a switch, but we all do know that ISO 20022 full migration is 2025. That's the deadline for Swift. Last but not least, and I wanted to try to keep this quick, Charles Schwab is a monstrous organization. I know tons of people in my life, my family members, some older friends that read some of these documents here. This document just came out. This is fall 2021. Back to business. How much do you really need to retire? The new rules of cybersecurity. How investors can turn the post-pandemic landscape to their advantage. Well, guess what? They talk directly about cryptocurrency, and they validate it again, which we have seen as an asset class. Are cryptocurrencies for real? Are cryptocurrencies a legitimate asset class? And this is not just Charles Schwab saying this now, because this is one of the first times I've seen them say it. We've seen Gary Gensler, and I know that many of us in this community have our opinions about him, talking about digital assets actually being an asset class now. So now this is being presented to the mainstream, okay? Now it's a trickle effect, obviously, but once the mainstream takes the bait and understands kind of the utility of where everything goes, it is completely game over. And honestly, it's probably a bit too late to make the big amounts of ROI that we're all looking for. We're not there yet, in my opinion, by any means necessary. I think that we probably still have the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years, literally, before we see something like that occur. I'm going to read this and let you guys go. Are cryptocurrencies a legitimate asset class? Bitcoin and other cryptos are highly speculative investments, since supply and demand drive their volatility, not intrinsic value. That's nonsense, but okay, let's continue. That said, the cryptocurrency market has matured from its experimental phase into a unique and sizable asset class, with a global market capitalization of some $1.5 trillion. Now, we know today it's right about $2.3 trillion. As a result, several established corporations and institutional investors have begun investing in Bitcoin. So they're essentially making the chicken and egg argument here, saying that just because Bitcoin now is it and cryptocurrencies are now at this market capitalization, now we're seeing the institutional money come in. That's complete nonsense. It's stupidity, to be honest with you. And this is what's going to be fed to the masses. It's completely idiotic. What's really happening is that technology adoption and the kind of the curve that comes along with that. And we will see, literally, in my opinion, every single citizen in the United States at some point will utilize blockchain and cryptocurrencies without even knowing they're doing it or investing in them. And that is the end game for cryptocurrencies. That is the end game for digital assets, because the legacy institutions, the tech companies, are going to have to integrate because of utility, because of speed, and because of ease of access and integration that enables the every man and every woman to utilize digital assets without even knowing that they're utilizing them, just because they work better. That is where this goes. We are not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet, but they're going to sell it to the masses. Tesla's market cap is like what? I think it's like $1 trillion or something insane, right? We are so early in this space. And in my opinion, there's so many opportunities that are still going to come. Be very, very cognizant of what you're doing. I know that there's multiple different opportunities out there. regardless of the opportunities, regardless of what the potential returns can be, I'm still trying to stick to the same rules for me personally, and this is not financial advice. I'm still trying to not buy things at all-time high. I'm trying to not buy things whenever the RSI, which is a mechanism for overbought and oversold, is in an insanely high level. These are just things that I'm trying to do. Now, if I miss the boat on something, that's fine. I will try to wait until there's a correction. If there's not a correction, which there are assets that certainly haven't corrected yet for me, I will wait until the next market cycle personally, because I'm going to try to find better opportunities that more suit my risk level and my risk tolerance level for investing in this space at this point and in this market cycle. And at the bottom of a bear market, I could care less. I'm going to go balls to the wall. But right now, I'm trying to be as safe as possible. Let's all buckle up, though, because with something like XRP, with something like Stellar even, with something like Hashgraph, with something like Quant, that has world-changing implications for the future of finance, they are going to hold it down as long as they can hold it down until they cannot hold it down any further. That is all that I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Labor Day weekend if you celebrate, if I don't talk to you before then. Later.